Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Really sorry for the lack of videos recently. Lizzie and I have finally managed to move out. We are in our new place at the minute and just been trying to sort everything out. So as you can see, we've got the garage here, which we are very happy with. Got it just set up with all the stuff we need in here. So the gym, nice rubber flooring, slippers, check them out, legend. Got my bike, power, which is all good, treadmill, weights, some other bits and bobs. A few other things we need to sort out. As you can imagine, this is the most important room, so that's pretty much sorted, we're good to go. Everything else, yeah, I'll show you guys in due course. As you can see, my hair, disgusting. That needs to be sorted out. Been a hectic couple of days and I'll be glad to get back into a routine of making these videos for you. Hope you're all well. Let's crack on with today. This video will actually be a test of how good this Wi-Fi is because I'm recording it on the same day that I'm posting. It is Wednesday the 10th. It is 11:42 as I'm recording this right now, and I want to get this video out ASAP. So fingers crossed the Wi-Fi is good, and it should be a lot better than my parents' place. So let's get this going. So as you've seen from the title, the video is all about FTP, which stands for Functional Threshold Power, and it's how to increase your FTP. Now, before I go ahead with anything, I do just want to say FTP is not the be-all and end-all. Doesn't mean you're a better rider if you've got a higher FTP, doesn't mean you're a worse rider if you've got a lower FTP. It's just a way of measuring your fitness at that period in time and then calculating your zones based on that so your training is effective and you're training in the right way. But I will say FTP is a good ballpark to show, you know, where you're at a particular point in the season, and even more important, it's bragging rights with your mates. So if you've got higher FTP, you're a bit of a legend. But all kidding aside, like I said, FTP is not the be all and end all. But as all, you know, cyclists, triathletes, whoever you are, we all kind of want a higher FTP. That's what this video is all about. This video is actually a little bit harder than you might imagine. It's not just the case of going out and smashing yourself in training. There's been studies that high intensity training, medium intensity training, low intensity training, all of this helps, and it's actually finding what works best for you as an athlete. Like I've said in previous videos, we are all different, we all react in different ways to different stimuluses and different types of training. So someone might like a low volume type training but high intensity, the next person might like high volume, low intensity. It's actually finding what works best for you. But what I would suggest for most people out there is to have a good mix of both. So good amount of low intensity base training, what we'd call it, and a nice amount of high intensity training, and also in between as well. Even if you do have a really good mix of high intensity and low intensity training, if you don't structure it correctly, it can still be detrimental and you can, you know, reduce the amount of gains that you're potentially going to have. So making sure you've got a really good structure to your program every single week, every single month, and making sure that you are coming to these high intensity sessions feeling really good, and also you're making sure, which is very crucial as a coach, I remind my athletes all the time of this, make sure your easy sessions are easy. It's so easy to get carried away and then you end up training in the grey zone, which is what loads of people refer to it, and you're almost doing more damage than good really. So make sure your easy stuff is easy and your hard stuff is hard, and make sure you're training at the right intensities. Just as a quick kind of example, I guess, if you have, let's say, 3 bike rides a week in your program, one of them needs to be a really low intensity, long aerobic base ride. It doesn't have to be that long, but it just needs to be low intensity. However many hours you can fit in, basically. Really nice and easy. Then the next 2, you can have 2 sessions. What I would recommend is one of them being a high intensity session, and one of them being more of the kind of the sweet spot, the FTP type efforts. So the high intensity stuff will be kind of no more than 3-4 minute efforts, and then the sweet spot and FTP stuff and, you know, some zone 3 strength work, that can be all the way up to, you know, 30-40 minute efforts. and it's finding, like I said, the correct balance for you, what works perfectly for you. That's just a rule of thumb. If you have 3 sessions a week, one really nice and easy, one kind of medium intensity, and one harder intensity. You could always do 2 easier rides and 1 intense ride. It's kind of, yeah, like I've said, whatever works for you, however you make the most gains. You do not want to burn out, so going too hard and thinking, oh, I'll increase my FTP if I train really, really hard for 4 weeks, or 6 weeks, or 8 weeks, or however many weeks you want to increase your FTP, or however many weeks you've got to increase your FTP, you can burn out so quickly and you can just plateau, and that's really, really demoralizing. So it's making small changes incrementally and having a consistent approach to your training. That's how you're going to make gains over time. Now, on top of your bike work, which is obviously really important, if you want to increase your FTP, you have to do bike sessions and bike training, but it is not all about doing bike work. Making sure that you are doing some strength work as well. I would recommend 2 strength sessions a week for people. Now, I'm obviously very lucky. I've invested in this gym setup, and I've got all the kit I need. You don't need all of this stuff. If you've got it, fantastic. It's a bit of a luxury. You do not need it. You can just do some home strength work and you can still get massive gains from that, and it helps so much with increasing your top end power and your functional threshold power. The strength work that you do will not only maximize your gains, but it will also reduce the risk of injury. Now, this is key. I can't stress this enough, because you could train like an absolute hero for 6 months and then you could break and you could have 6, 12, 18 months out, however many years out because of injury. That's not consistent. That's not a good way to gain fitness. And a lot of people do make those mistakes. So it's about having this approach of consistency. You don't change things overnight. Things don't increase overnight. Your FTP is not going to increase overnight. It's going to take a while to increase, but you need to be consistent with the efforts that you put in, and make sure you're making measures to make sure that you're not getting injured. So the strength work is going to be crucial to doing that, because if you don't get injured, you stay consistent, you increase your FTP, you increase your gains, it's not just about FTP, it's about everything. Swim, bike, run, everyday life, you don't get injured. It's so important. And I would almost stress that if you're going to miss a session in a week, make sure it's not a strength session. Miss any other session, do not miss a strength session, because they are that important and they're really, really crucial. Like I said, not only just to make the gains, but also to keep you injury free and consistent. And it's about longevity in this sport. It's not just about having 1 good season, 2 good seasons. It's about having years and years and years of consecutively decent seasons and building up really nice and slowly. That's what the strength work does for you. And I would recommend, if anyone's not doing strength work right now, please do introduce. It can just be super basic stuff. It doesn't have to be really, really hard. It doesn't have to be really confusing. Actually, sometimes the most simple strength sessions are the best. I am going to go through a workout, because it is Workout Wednesday, a particular workout that will help you build your FTP, but it's not the be all and end all. You can take this session and adapt it and do whatever you want to it, basically. So we'll go through this the same way that we go through all of these. The why, really good way of building on that functional threshold power that we've been talking about. When are you going to put it into your program? Okay, so a session like this is pretty challenging. It's gonna be quite demanding physically and mentally. So make sure you've not got anything hard in the day you're doing the session before. You can have like an easy session afterwards, like a run or something like that, but make sure you're not doing anything hard before this session. And also the day before you do this session, make sure the sessions aren't that taxing, because this session is going to demand you to work quite hard, and you don't want to be going into this too fatigued, not hit the numbers you want. It becomes a bit demoralizing. You don't get the gains that you need from this session. So that's what I would say with structure wise. And then finally, what is the session? You've got 15 minutes, really nice and easy spin, and then you've got a 3-minute ramp. Now, starting at zone 2, you want to ramp each 30 seconds up towards FTP in the last 30 seconds. So a nice steady ramp all the way through that 3 minutes, and then you've got 2 minutes, really nice, easy spin, keep the high cadence. Then we go into the meat of the session, which is 3 times 6 minutes at FTP with 4 minutes easy spin in between, and then you've got a 10-minute nice and easy spin after that. That 6-minute effort, that is going to be quite challenging, especially doing 3 of them. It's going to hurt. You've really got to knuckle down, and that's why you make sure that you haven't done a hard session before this or a really hard session the day before. Make sure you're going into it feeling pretty good, and make sure that you're mentally and physically prepared for the efforts that you're going to do. For the 4-minute easy spin, make sure it is nice and easy, don't go too hard on that, and make sure you're flushing the legs out, keeping a nice high cadence. That will help make sure that you are fully prepared for the next rep to come around. Now, of course, this is just a basic session, super basic, but like I said actually earlier on in this video, sometimes the most basic sessions are the best ones because they're just super simple, get your head down and get it done, okay? But by all means, take this session and adapt it to make sure it works well for you. Maybe do some longer efforts, do some shorter efforts, do some over and under efforts within FTP, so FTP in the middle, over efforts, under efforts. Do anything you want with this session and find that perfect balance between, like I said, the high intensity stuff, the low intensity stuff, making sure the program is right for you. That is it from me. I'm absolutely freezing. I don't know if you can see, but it's pretty bloody cold in here. Hopefully my Wi-Fi works well for this video and I can get it out today. If not, I'll try and figure something else out. But yeah, just super excited to be living somewhere new on our own, and yeah, hopefully we can get some good training videos in here. Hopefully I can do some live streams as well. I know a couple of people did message saying they'd be keen on some Zwift live streams. I'm hoping that the Wi-Fi is good enough. We are having a few difficulties with the range of the Wi-Fi, so we might need a few boosters or something like that, but everything else seems okay. So yeah, lots to look forward to. Hope everyone's well, hope you're training really well, and I will see you in the next video.